Let's talk about the ecological and just transitions, innovations, and policies. First of all, I would like to share a report we uh, prepared for the European Environment Agency in 2019. It was actually uh, the final output of um, a series of tasks and deliverables under the European Topic Center on Waste and Materials in the Green Economy. So we had for that, some years of work and reflections upon the various transitions. So the key message here is that you have to integrate and to think about the complementarities and trade-offs you may have across sectors, across geographies, and the necessity to link in the transitions. And maybe the key conceptual framework is this one, figure 1.1 in the report, where you see in the EU system, the EU, in this case, European project, but the sustainability transition uh, at the center, with all the interlinks and feedbacks, interactions with demographics, with aging, which is also has an impact on labor force, migration patterns as well. The technological transition on the other end with Industry 4, digitalization, so the need to integrate digital and green transitions, employment and environmental impacts together. So you see technology and demographic transitions together impacting on the labor market, and also on fiscal issues, because as you know, in then you may have tax-based erosion. The aging of the population is causing fiscal impacts as well, even in China. So, and then you need to provide investments in skills and updating skills, creating new jobs in order to uh, create the human capital basis for the green economy transition. Okay, also finance then on as an initial point with all the very fast patterns financial markets are able to produce sustainable, responsible investments. The role of even here of new generations, maybe changing preferences and changing savings allocation, asking for green investments, ethical investments, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is the conceptual framework. Another conceptual framework, again, out of the collaboration we have had over the past years with theme, is more circumscribed to the circular economy. And here you have, as you see, the circular economy, decarbonization, bioeconomy together, creating a triangle where innovation is crucial, technological, but also organizational, marketing innovations, and globalization in the global scope, international markets, which means also, for example, sustainable consumption and production, analyzing imports, exports, emissions embodied in imports, exports, technology embodied in import, exports, and then policies and policy integration. Policies remain the first point here. Market failures, markets fail, and then you need to correct markets to design policies which spur innovations in an effective and efficient way. So static efficiency, but also dynamic efficiency, which means creating innovations. Okay, so as you know, European Union in the pandemic crisis has accelerated over that period the climate ambition and has enlarged the fiscal stimulus through Keynesian type of perspective. Lucky enough, Europe changed perspective sooner or later. Well, so you see, this is mainly the ambitious target, which is now minus 55 now in 9 years by 2030. And then, I mean, the very ambitious and necessary targets we need to achieve. Here we are GDP, you could have human development, economic development, but the issue is to decouple. It is possible to decouple, it is an empirical thing. So it is, the issue is how to change our behavior and technology, our organizational structure within firms, within a society, within households, in order to reduce emissions. Okay, then be aware of the fact that some of those emissions could be just delocalized. Okay, because for example, think about the automotive, but also toys. When Lego Star Wars bricks were produced in Denmark, where now you have the R&D heart, but now as most manufactured goods, the bricks, the Lego bricks are produced in Vietnam, Czech Republic, Mexico, and elsewhere. Okay, so you have this really global scope, integration of responsibilities, policies, and also assessments. Okay, we need to assess emissions within the country, outside the country. So even the concept of country is a bit out of date. Okay, so then we have, as social scientists, we have exogenous type of information we receive. This new paper by friend colleague Paul Eakins and others, where you see that they, through a model, they just say, exogenously speaking, the issue is that in order to achieve that 1.5 threshold, staying within that cap, we need first of all to leave in the ground a massive amount of oil and methane gas, 60%, and 90% of coal must remain unextracted. This is the key sentence of this paper. So if we take this as information and constraint, then we need to design policies accordingly to change our way of thinking societies and thinking how behavior and technologies mean to achieve those goals. Okay. We may need pricing. Yeah, pricing is part of the story, important part, but not enough. Maybe AUC, for example, the emission trading in Europe, we don't. Maybe now a discussion on carbon taxes has restarted a bit to cover the sectors, for example, that are not covered by the European ETS system, which is pretty developed now. And through the pandemic crisis, prices rose from 20 to 60. So a very relevant and stunning increase. So now the price of carbon is around 60 euro per ton in the market, and possibly increasing due to the fact that demand is going to increase and supply reduces more or less 2% per year. Okay. But we also need infrastructures and just pricing. So we need the state, municipalities, regions, the state to provide the spaces. Here, you have one kind of example, space. Spaces are now empty because of the lack of demand. Possibly. Now, for example, some cities, this is Bologna, is rich of those mostly empty spaces, okay, for new cars coming in. So you have to provide infrastructure pricing, but also infrastructures are necessary to change our daily life and our way of thinking about. So it could be new technology also by sharing, for example. This could be a private car, electric one, but also electric and shared, and so on and so forth. We have to invent new ways of thinking. Eco-innovation, yeah, this is the European situation where you see that you have the most advanced high-income European countries with that also experts that implemented back in the 90s some environmental policies, and for example, the carbon tax in Sweden in the early 90s, also Finland, Germany, a leader in waste policies, okay, and with the Topfer law implemented in 1989, I mean, first step of the European policy for reuse, recovery, and recycling of materials. And then Denmark, okay. And then the big countries, France, Italy, UK, following. Okay, so this is the eco-innovation space. Eco-innovation is relevant for R&D, patents, innovation diffusion, innovation adoption. Providing example from our survey, focusing on SMEs, we just covered thousands of SMEs in Italy manufacturing, and you see the situation is pretty mature but still developing phase. So maybe more complex to reduce greenhouse gases emissions for SMEs. But for example, you see on waste, on the also relevant. I mean the links and bonds with other firms under the umbrella of waste and circular economy, eco design. So between 10 and 20% of SMEs reported to an adoption of some eco innovation in this period. So now we are address we just readdress firms, and now we have, for example, a panel of 2,000 firms interviewed twice over 2017, 18, then 19, 20. So this is a survey that we just repeated. Okay. So technology innovation, but a key thing is the just transition. Okay. So the just transition within European Green Deal is a strong component of value. And this is the second part, maybe the key part of my lecture here. So we need technologies, we need pricing, we need investments, spaces, infrastructures, but we also need, and we also need more demand. We need, it is not a new thing. I mean, the efficiency wages in textbooks by going back to the Ford intuition that you need to increase wages to increase workers' performances and also to increase demand. Okay, so we have to say that we live in an era of maybe obsession of cost reduction, reduction of wages, but this is reduction of demand. So the green economy cannot live without even the economy as a whole, as we know, cannot live without a balanced profits wages situation. So excessive profits generate the crisis of markets and capitalism itself. It's we know it from Karl Marx, so it's not really a new thing. And so we need to support demand. We need to increase wages. We need to support demand for economic, social, and environmental sustainability, because otherwise the green economy, the risk is that it remains something for high-income parts of society, not diffused. Okay, so it's not sustainable in social terms, even not accepted in political terms. Okay, and As you know, yeah, this is a structural factor. Maybe you don't know, but yeah, it is a structural factor, and we see the huge decrease in the labor share of income. Okay, turning point, absolutely, but a change of era. I mean, the elections in the US and UK, Margaret Thatcher, Ronald Reagan, 79-81, and then the financialization of the system, globalization, not properly managed. So the labor share has decreased, the role of unions has decreased, um, and you see, and we can have differences. Think about France, which is, I mean, where l'État, the state, is pretty strong, and Germany as well, but then the US. You see, this is at the end of the day taxation on income. Taxation on income in France, Germany, and Scandinavian countries is between 45 and 50% of GDP. In the US, is 26. In the UK, 33. So different models for capitalism, not just taxes, but taxes are a relevant part of this story. I mean, so with all the consequences in terms of inequalities and then inequality, for example, the striking example of the inequalities in the United States with the famous Thomas Piketty textbook figure, okay, which is pretty shocking, okay, empirically speaking, yeah, okay, which is pretty different in Europe, and using another source. You see here, okay, that Europe and the US pretty follow the same path, or the fiscal post Second World War expansion, the creation of the welfare state. I mean, then mm, after, I mean, the crisis, oil shocks and all the wars, and then the other changes that occur. You see that, I mean, the difference in terms of income inequality have really appeared. I mean, and so, and this is what we were saying. So this is important for the green economy. It's just not an economic and social thing, because again, we have to provide the social structure in something solid. So a pillar of the green economy transition is its social acceptability. Okay, so we need environmental policy. Also, we need now increasing demand. For example, minimum wages. We need increasing prices for brown goods, but given the social impacts, I mean, energy is going to cost more. So what I'm telling is that it's costing more. I mean, the green economy is costing more. I mean, brown goods, energy is costing more, but the cost is it's always a real one. So it's not, we have the nominal wage and prices. So the issue is that goods may cost more. Think about energy or new green goods, because prices do increase, but then you have wages. So if wages increase by 5% and green goods or energy increase by 3%, okay, this is a real an increase in real wages. So the real problem is the allocation of income and the wage structure of the economy. Okay, so we have to think about environmental prices, but also prices, wages in the labor market. And Joe Biden is changing something in the US, but okay, in Europe and in other countries, we have to be aware of this fact. So I conclude by saying that, yes, we have to think about workers' well-being. We have to think about innovations, but knowledge creation. So the role of workers is pretty relevant here, because workers are actors within firms, within societies, are workers, but also citizens and consumers. They can join and participate strategies within the firm. Industrial relations you could have a direct role of workers or through unions and industrial relations. But this is a really important thing because, again, this labor, wage, social, economic part is really necessary for the achievement of the green economy transition. Okay, so those are our three research centers, SEEDS, Inter-University linking 13 universities in Italy around ecological economics issues, and then the new one, churches on circular economy, innovation, and SMEs. Okay, thank you very much.